Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Tuesday, August 5th. I am your host, Tyler Wiemann. We're going to be breaking it down today. We had a nice slate yesterday. We're going to start off by going over the perfect lineups and the winning lineups from yesterday before we jump into today's slate, starting with the pitchers to consider and some stacks. Thank you for joining us. Come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do. The props, the DFS, you get it all, one low price. And it's the best time to get us. If you get the yearly option, not only do you get the rest of the baseball season, you get all of NFL, all of basketball, and the beginning of next year baseball as well. Come join us. Let's get into it. Now, it was a fun day yesterday. Some wild games. Won a couple tickets on for NFL yesterday. Gotta love that. Congrats on your success from yesterday. Thank you guys for having us. I do appreciate the comments. Thanks for joining me. Let's jump into the perfect lineups from yesterday. We will start with FanDuel because we are on that right now. Sonny Gray, only 8,600, went for 46. The pay-up options just didn't quite get there. And with that, Sonny Gray slid in at putting up 46 was enough. And then a four-man Toronto stack. Yesterday, we were talking about how there was really, really good hitting weather in Coors. And then you also have the effect of the elevation, and it just made it where a spot you ended up having to get to. After Toronto, all one-offs, 34,300 was the salary and 342.5. And then the winning lineup went to Lindell 98. They won 20K with 260.2. Brayan Bello was the pitcher, 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 quality start, and a win. Got it done for him. And then they went with a Boston-Toronto stack. It was a 4-man Toronto stack, 3-man Boston with a one-off of Jurickson Profar. Apparently, the residual roids are still going through Profar because he hit another home run. You love to see it. Now, let's get over to DraftKings and see if we can get the perfect lineup over here. All right, so Yusei Kikuchi, Sonny Gray, solid days out of them. Both were in that more middle tier pricing-wise, and then we had a 3-man Toronto stack and all one-offs after that. 49,700 for salary, 257.45, and the winning lineup went to MCA Fiend, McAfiend, not totally sure how to pronounce his name, but congrats to them. They won 50K. They had Kikuchi and Lauer. We did talk about how Lauer had been very good recently, but really it's kind of hard to know what to make of him just because his bigger body of work isn't all that great, but he has been very, very good in the short term, and he did it once again. Then we had a big Toronto stack, 2-man Yankees, one off of Cincinnati, the old 5-2-1. That lineup construction just continually wins, and it got it done once again. Now, let's get in some stacks and see what we can uncover stack wise today. Well, sorry, let's start with the pitchers, then get over to stacks. And on to DK. High owned pitchers of the day. We got Bryan Woo, 23% owned. And guys, if there is a pitcher or something you want me to kind of dive into, please let me know, and we can do that a little bit on stream as well. So Bryan Woo, this dude has been absolutely great at home. And he's at home again versus the White Sox. White Sox have been hitting a little bit recently, but Bryan Woo has been the epitome of consistency. The man just keeps getting quality starts. He does it over and over and over again. However, 2 of the last 3, he did not get a quality start. Before that, it's like every single other start this season. He has 3.83 FIP over his last 20 starts with a 24% K rate. Over the last 5, it's 4.47 and almost 25% K rate. StatCast data is fine. A little too much hard contact, and his batted balls to barrel balls rate is a little bit high. And then you get the matchup versus the White Sox. White Sox versus righties have been just kind of meh. WOBA, decent. ISO, a little bit high. So they've been hitting the ball hard, average 246. All in all, I think this is a great spot for Woo. And I'm fully on board with paying up his price and getting some Brian Woo. The one thing I have to say about pitching as a whole today is there's a lot of different pay up options and not a ton of, pay down options that I like. And so it might be a little bit hard to kind of figure out how you want to go about your pitching today. Because if you also want to play Colorado, who's priced up a bit, it might be a little bit hard to get 2 pay up pitchers. All right, next we got Freddie Peralta. Freddie P has been throwing the ball very well lately. 3.95 FIP over the last 20, 3.76 over his last 5. That 26% K rate over that short term has been solid. He has had a little bit trouble with command, but that's kind of the normal from him. He isn't the most efficient pitcher, but the K rate is there. It is solid. He is giving up 41% fly balls now. That is not too concerning with the type of weather that we have in Atlanta today, which also brings up another point that I need to bring up is there is once again scattered showers throughout the Atlanta region, and we're not totally sure if this game is going to play. There is a chance for a late start and then game plays. There could be a pop-up. Just make sure you check back to the weather report before you lock in Peralta, just because there is some weather concerns there. Mamba, yes, we will check out Will Warren for you, and we'll dive into that one as well. So Peralta, I like, but with weather concerns, I'm a little worried. However, Braves really haven't been hitting very good. They're striking out at 22%. The wind is coming in, so that fly ball rate isn't as big of an issue. 24% combined K rate. Definitely interested in some Peralta, but I'm also very, very interested in some other high pay-up pitchers like Garrett Crochet. All right, Ryan Papoy next, 8,500, 16.86 point projection on LineStar and 15.8 consensus. He is one of the high-owned guys. Right now, the issue with Papoy in my eyes is just that he hasn't been good lately. 6.01 FIP over the last 5, 22% K rate. StatCast data is fine. And then a 4.52 FIP over the last 20. Now, he's been pitching pretty well this season. 3.8 ERA on the season, but over this last month, it's been 5.4. His K rate is fine. Held pretty steady all year. You can kind of expect 5-6 Ks from him as long as he's going 6 innings. All in all, I don't love this spot for Papoy, and I think he is going over-owned. My issue with him is this Angels offense hits the ball very, very well. Now, they are boom bust. They strike out a lot, but I think there's just a lot of paths to the Angels getting enough runs that it hurts Papoy as a whole, and he just can't give you that tournament winning score at his price tag. 8,500 is a little higher than I would like to pay for him. And that's just my issue with him. If you want to go there, absolutely fine. Most people are considering him today. I'm just kind of off him. Next, we got Shota, 8.9K, 21-point projection, 16.74 on the consensus. If you look at that's higher than the Freddie P here. And we will dive into Shota now. So 4.49 FIP over his last 20. That's over a 2.72 ERA over his last 20. Now, the thing with Shota is he consistently produces better than what his FIP is showing. He did that all last year, and he's doing it again over the last 5. It's a 4.18 ERA and a 4.62 FIP. Right around, what he usually does. His K rate's in 21%. I don't mind Shota. And I think that if you're trying to go a little bit more medium salary, not totally pay up for pitcher, he is one of my favorite spots on this slate. Our LineStar projection loves him, and I'm going to be getting to a lot of him. The other thing here is the Cincinnati offense just is not good versus lefties, striking out a ton over both the last 150 games and the last 20, 27% over the last 20. Shota does have some strikeout stuff, so he can rack up those Ks. And when he's on, he does get to 7-8 Ks. I think there's a lot of different ways that it goes right for Shota today. And it's another day where the wind is blowing in at Wrigley like 10-15% miles an hour at 8,900. I'm super interested for Shota. Jay asked if we have a video on optimizer tutorials. We do have several on our YouTube page listed in the how-to. I would say just search through there, and there are a couple. Eddie, glad you had a lot of Blue Jays. Unfortunately, Guerrero just kind of let us down there. It's wild. 25 hits by the Blue Jays yesterday. That is just a crazy number. But hey, we're going to get after it again today and see if we can find another spot. All right. Garrett Crochet. Look, our LineStar projection's 26. He is almost 11K, but his projection is, more than 4 higher than the closest, which is Brian Wu. I think the ceiling is very, very much with Crochet. The Royals versus lefties is a very, very interesting spot. And they're striking out a lot. They haven't been good versus lefties. Crochet is absolutely dominant. Huge strikeout stuff. I would be personally very surprised if he's not the highest owned, but I understand people wanting to get Toronto today. And I think people trying to get Toronto is the only way that he is not super high owned. But he is in a great spot. Definitely want him. Next, Nathan Eovaldi, 20.82 point projection, 17.9 consensus, 20% owned. The one thing I have to say about Eovaldi is he is much better versus righties than lefties. This Yankees lineup is likely to roll out a ton of lefties today, so I think it might be a little bit of a harder spot for him. All in all, though, Eovaldi has been amazing this year, and even if it's versus all lefties, he's hard to hit. 2.5 FIP over his last 20, 2.53 over his last 5. That K rate's right around 26. StatCast data is good. Great history versus the Yankees with a 33% K rate in 103 plate attempts. So there's a lot to warrant Eovaldi. My one worry, my one concern is just how many lefties they're going to throw out there. But Eovaldi's too good of a pitcher not to consider here. All right, now let's get to some pivot times. This is where we'll get to Will Warren as well as Darvish. Mamba, I don't really understand how Darvish is at 12%. He's only 6,100. I think the only reason that he's not higher owned is just this early, first 4 starts body of work. But there's too much ceiling here to not consider. It's a guy that has a 4.38 FIP over his last 20, 4.15 over the last 5. K rate isn't, anything great, but his StatCast data is very, very good. And the opponent team splits. This Diamondbacks team just is not the hitters that they were prior to the deadline. And so with that, I am all in, or all totally willing to get to some Yu Darvish. 6,100 on that on DraftKings is just too low, and he might be kind of a skeleton key that allows you to pay up at your other pitching place and get to those Coors bats if you want to play Coors. But Yu Darvish is very, very interesting to me. The only worry is that Arizona has got to him. Earlier this season, 2 earned runs and 63 pitches, 3.2 innings. Last year, 3 earned runs and 5.1. Year prior, he hasn't had anything great. But hey, if you can get 20 out of Darvish today for that price, it's a good spot. Charlie is asking, what about the Nationals A's game? That game is not on the main slate. So that game is on the turbo slate, I believe. The early 5 p.m. slate. Yes. 3:45 Pacific time start. And we are going over the main slate here. So, all right, getting back into our pitchers, Will Warren. Mamba, here's the Will Warren breakdown for you. My biggest worry, he's been way, way worse away. His strikeout stuff over the bigger body of work is 26%. He has been solid with a 3.67 FIP. But over the last 5, 5.03 and a 17% K rate. Something is going on with him, and he just has not been able to put any consistency out there. Now, his ceiling's up there. He can get you those 20s. I think 8K with that is fine if you want to take some chances. The issue for me is this Rangers team has been hitting a little bit recently, and I don't love going against them in this spot with a guy that has been averaging so much less fantasy points while away. If we look through his player profile, he has one game. One game the entire season away, and unfortunately it was for the A's, for you A's fans out there, that he's given us a score that we really want to use at the price of 8K. So I have a hard time wanting to get there, but hey, I don't mind a little bit if he pops up, an optimizer. Jose Soriano, 7,600. The last kind of pivot that I wanted to talk about, he's just been very good. 3.53 FIP over his last 20. 4.43 over the last 5. K rate's 19%. Guy just keeps the ball on the ground, and that works very well at this park, which does play up to home runs a little bit. Now, this Tampa Bay team can hit, so it's not a cake matchup whatsoever, but Soriano just goes out there and continues to impress, just having, a ton of quality starts and putting his team in a chance to win. Plus, he does have that run where he was on fire and, putting up 30s left and right. I think at his 7,600 price tag, you get some safety. Also can still give you that 25 plus. So I'm a little interested in Soriano. And then lastly, Emmett Shaheen, 7,200. He is entering back into the starting lineup. They're going to be, or starting rotation. He's going to be part of a 6-man rotation. The guy's actually been pretty good lately. 3.34 FIP, 22% K rate. He's going against the Cardinals team that's not too strong. They have struggled over the last 20. The strikeout rate isn't super high. There's not a huge ceiling here, but we we're going to need to pay down for some pitching somewhere if we want the, Garrett Crochets of the world in our lineups. And I think this is another way we can, and also get the late night hammer aspect with the pitcher with the last game of the night, which I always think is kind of interesting. Now let's get over to FanDuel and see what we got for ownership over here. Woo, Crochet, the 2 highest owned, and then Ryan Papoy, Freddie P, Evaldi, Shata, all are super interesting. 8,900 Shata is extremely interesting to me. Outside of Crochet, he can hit the ceiling, that everybody else does on this slate. So if Crochet just gives up a couple runs, it could be a slate where you can pay down a little bit. So do not mind getting to that whatsoever. And let's get to some stacks now. Eddie, that's a bummer that Alcantara got you there. But hey, 7 of 8 is very, very solid. Just doesn't pay. All right. Our highest owned stacks, we got Toronto. It is no surprise. We're on a 10-game slate and only 80% owned. Really isn't that high. They don't have the hitting weather they do today. Had yesterday. It's 90 degrees, but the winds aren't blowing out. It's more across the field. So the winds aren't going to give you much benefit, but it is still 90 degrees and Coors, which is obviously a bump to bats. And then you add in the fact that it's likely a bullpen game. Molina is part of the bullpen. That Colorado bullpen is horrendous. Makes a ton of sense to go Toronto once again. I mean, it's a team that just had 25 hits, and that bullpen is terrible. Our highest projected, we got Toronto, we got Colorado, as is on Colorado slates. Both kind of pop up. Jose Barrios is a guy that we didn't talk about, but he is a little interesting just because he does have a high ceiling. My worry is, one, that it's in Coors, and he hasn't been in good form lately with a 5.75 FIP over his last 5. And with the 90 degrees in Colorado, obviously Coors is in play here. Our high value stacks, we got Milwaukee again versus Joey Wentz. Joey Wentz has been solid. 3.19 FIP as a starter with the Braves. Braves can turn around some pitchers. We've seen it before. I absolutely have interest in Milwaukee, but I am a little bit worried that, there might be a little bit of a Wentz run right now. And I do wish he was a little bit cheaper for DFS to use, but it's a very hard spot. Milwaukee's good. I don't mind a little bit. I'm not going to go out of my way to get him. Arizona versus Yu Darvish. We've seen you get lit up against Arizona. While I like you as a pitcher, Arizona has had his number a little bit. I don't totally hate going with them, especially with how many cheap batters they have and their willingness to steal bases and score fantasy points in a lot of different ways. High ceiling, Seattle, Davis Martin. Seattle's got some bats now. I think you absolutely can consider them. Davis Martin, 4.89 FIP over his last 5. Doesn't really scare you. I think getting some Seattle stacks makes all the sense. Yankees versus Evaldi is popping up a little bit. Remember, he is much worse versus lefties than righties. I think his BABIP is like 30 points higher versus lefties than it is versus righties. And our high leverage, Yankees, Seattle, and Cubs. Cubs, Wrigley, winds blowing in. When that happens, those huge blow-up games are just much harder to come by. Doesn't mean it can't happen, though. And Yankees covered, Seattle we covered. Let's get over to the team tab to see what else we got here. Toronto at 6.8, 1.7 higher than anybody else that is similar to yesterday. They went absolutely nuts and very well could do it once again. Look at this ERA number for Colorado. 5.29 ERA with a 1.54 FIP. Nobody is even close Closest would be the Angels at 4.92 and Arizona at 4.82. Those three are absolutely awful in the bullpen. Then we got Dodgers versus Mikolas, 6.55 FIP. I think this Dodgers lineup, while it still didn't do much yesterday, I think it's going to come alive very soon. They got Max Muncy back. That is going to be a major help for them getting this lineup back and rolling. He was super hot before he got hurt. Hopefully Muncy can kind of get some of that back, but I am interested in the Dodgers. Then we got Boston at 4.7 versus Ryan Burgett, ex-San Diego Padre, went to Royals in the trade deadline. He's given up some hard contact, high average exit velocity. While he has shown to be, very serviceable this year, this guy was pretty far down on the Padres prospect list coming into the days or coming into the year. So I don't mind some Boston stacks here. I do have to say, though, that Roman Anthony is likely to sit out once again today, and hopefully he is back Wednesday is what reports are saying. Colorado at 4.7 versus Barrios. It's a Colorado game. Obviously, I'm considering it. And then Padres at 4.7. I actually do think this is a sneaky spot for the Padres. High hard contact rate, high average exit velocity. A bullpen is bad. And I think this Padres lineup versus righties is going to be very, very good for the rest of the season. O'Hearn, unfortunately, sat yesterday, but, trying to figure out that Sheets and O'Hearn playing time might be a little bit troublesome throughout the rest of the season. But at least, we should get starting lineups before the slate. Mets versus Cleveland at 4.6. Fine trying to pick on some Allen with these type of hard contact rates and average exit velocity. Seattle obviously in play. Arizona versus makes some sense. And if we come down here, I do like the Angels. Don't mind some Texas. We've seen Will Warren get blown up a bit lately, and they're at home and can hit the ball hard. And then if we come down the list, there's not a whole lot I like. It's more just more game theory plays here. Evaldi or Yankees can put up some really big games, and they're going to be low versus Evaldi. Makes some sense there. I don't like the Braves versus Peralta, but the Braves can have boom games. They can hit the ball hard, and Peralta can give it up from time to time. Cincinnati, I don't love him versus lefties, and KC versus Crochet, I'm out on. White Sox versus Brian Wu at home, no thank you. So I think it is a day that we might be leaning into the chalk a little bit more than we normally do. Well, that'll do it for us today, guys. It was a fun one. I'll be back with more later for the prop show. Hope you all have a great day. Let's make some money. Talk to you later. Peace.